Hey everyone, welcome back to the festival circuit. My name is Adam Nixon. Of course, I am joined by my co-host Reuben.
You alright, guys?
And today we are just going to be basically chatting about all things Reading and Leeds. Going to be answering your questions. I've previously asked on our Instagram and Twitter for some questions. Just everything you have. Now we're getting to the business end of the festival season, as Reuben puts it. And yeah, I'm really excited. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, we're a couple of weeks away now, like 3 weeks away, and I am absolutely buzzing for Reading and Leeds to happen. It's been over a year and a half now since the last one, and my God, I can't wait to get out for me and you at least to get out onto Little John's farm in Reading and just have the time of our lives.
Yeah, it's actually going to be amazing, and I just can't believe that it's actually happening and how soon it's going to be. So we're just going to run through some questions, basically any last minute queries you guys may have, and hopefully we can answer it as best as possible.
Right, so the first question that we have received on the Instagram is best camp for newcomers. And I don't know how Adam's going to feel about this one, but I'm going to personally say Green. I think Green is the best camp. That's why I went. That's why I go. Green camp is the best for me because you get a good mix of being close to the arena. You've got the foods trucks that are at Green. You've also got the over 18 bit that you can get your over 18 wristband. You know, I think it's a good location to go, and it's still lively as well. Whereas not going into the oranges and the purples and that sort of thing, where it gets a bit more lively. I don't know about you, Adam.
No, I think that's a very decent answer. I was just gonna, to be honest with you, if I'm being completely honest, I think the answer is very, very different on what sort of person you are and what sort of group you're in. Because if you want the liveliness thing, then who are we to say step back and don't get involved in that? But I think if you want just a full-on answer from our personal experience, I think he said, as Reuben said, Green's a very, very good option. I stayed in Brown for the first time, and again, that might be a bit too far away for people. For us, it was fine. It was our first experience. All of us, we'd never camped at a festival, so for us, we had stuff nearby. We had water, we had toilets, we had stalls all near us, so it kind of worked. So it kind of depends on your personal preference and just what you prefer, and that's why I would say it depends. It's up to you, but I do think if you want a definite answer, by the sounds of it, Green is a great place to camp.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously if you want to be going to the silent discos and the DJs in the arena after the headliners, I think your yellows and the oranges are quite good for that. Mm-hmm. Green is a good mix of everything, and then you've got reds. Reds, I guess, for a newcomer is quite good if you're going in the red entrance. Some people might get there, put their bags down, and think, right, I'm just going to stop here, wait in the queue too long, and just drop their bags and go for red. Obviously, you've got purples and browns. I'd avoid staying in white because that is miles away.
That is a trek.
Unless you want to walk half an hour to get to the arena every day. But yeah, so I'd say Green, my personal opinion, but whatever camp kind of suits you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not going to be staying in Brown again this year, that's for sure. I think I had friends who went in 2019. I unfortunately didn't go that year, but they stayed in Purple and they loved it, and that was their step up from Brown. So I think if you go for that first year, you want to take a step back, and then you can feel comfortable if you want for the year after to pick whatever you want. Especially walking through the camps, that helps as well because you get to see what sort of vibe everyone is in those different camps.
For sure.
So just a quick question that we've got for our next one is there any alcohol limit? And after a quick double check, there isn't. No. So you can take in sort of as much as you want for personal consumption, and as long as you're not a dick about it, to be honest with you, you're probably fine.
Yeah. Main thing is that there's no glass bottles. So if you're buying beers and ciders, make sure you're buying cans.
Yeah.
And then if you're buying spirits, I'd recommend getting some sports water bottles with the sports tops rather than a screw top, because if you're trying to do a screw top, taking it into the arena or whatever, you're going to have a hard time doing that. So get a sports top water bottle, and then just put your spirits in there if you're taking spirits. The next question that we've got again from Instagram is how many lateral flow tests do I need if I'm coming in on the Wednesday? So I would recommend just taking a box. The boxes you can get in Boots or you can order them online. They're free. So I'll just take a box with you. I think you register it and it's valid for 48 hours. So say you did it on the Wednesday and then you went out on the Saturday, you wouldn't be able to get back in. So, I mean, avoid going out of the site if you can, where possible. Like, I know in previous years people, I don't know, go to like leisure centres and have showers and go to the local Tesco and that sort of thing. Avoid it if you can, because obviously there's showers on site, not that you're going to want to use them. and there's a co-op on site that gets busy, but will be worth queuing up, just so you don't have to do those extra lateral flows.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've not if you've had a double vaccine, you'll be fine to come straight back in. And again, if you've had COVID and you've got the immunity, you'll be able to come back in. But if you're having to get in through lateral flows, you're gonna have to. I'd take a box with you just to be safe.
Yeah, to be honest with you, you're just going to want to do it as least as possible, just because of the faff are going to get back in. I mean, we used to be able to walk in past people, flashing our wristbands and getting straight back in. Whereas this year, if there's going to be a specific queue for it, there's going to be someone who's going to have to scan everyone's QR code to get back in. So it's just going to take longer, and just to avoid that little bit of a headache, then I would just try, as Reuben said, avoid it as much as you can, to leaving the grounds, that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next question, which we have received on Instagram, is what food and drink should we bring? So I'm going to discuss, or me and Reuben will discuss what food and drink we take, and obviously it's very, again, a lot of these questions are going to be personal preference. I prefer to take food-wise stuff that isn't fresh and stuff that's just going to be decent to get you through, like sort of your cereal, your cereal bars. Those sort of things, all those ready to eat quick things that's just going to fill you up in like the morning, because it's mainly in the morning you're going to be taking the food that you want to eat, and then maybe in the evening you're going to want to buy something from like your meal from like the vans or whatever. And obviously drink wise, it's kind of up to you. You could take like a refillable bottle and not take any water and just go to one of the refillable taps. You can take some water if you prefer. And obviously alcohol, you're going to want to take like cans of like crates of either like beer, but I'd probably prefer cider, just because when it's warmer it's a lot nicer. And yeah, take crates of that, and obviously refill bottles, as we said earlier, so your sport bottles and those sort of things, to refill that and get your spirits in. Yeah,
so water, the water taps tend to get quite busy, especially when it's hot. So if you wanted to take water in, you could, but obviously you've got to lug a load of water in, so it's just weighing up whether you want to do that.
I did that.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of, like, you take like crisps. Beef jerky for me was a good one. That was nice and easy to have in the mornings, kind of as a snack during the afternoon. I gave myself a rule that I'd have one meal from the trucks a day, because it does get quite expensive. And especially if you're buying drinks in the arena or whatever, it will start to add up. So I gave myself one meal a day, and then just had like the cereal bars, beef jerky, crisps. What else did I have? Like tinned fruit, like tinned pineapples and that sort of thing. It was quite nice to have.
It's quite a good one.
Yeah, and then what else? For me, Lucozade is quite a good one. Especially if you're waking up hungover in the morning, having a Lucozade and then having some food is quite nice. So Lucozade for me is a top tip.
Yeah, that's quite a good one, to be fair. You kind of forget about the soft drinks. I bought like a pack of like water bottles, and it was just collapsing on the trolley when I bought it, and I ended up just giving it away, and then I got told off because someone thought it was alcohol. So to be honest with you, take what you think you can manage, because those little 2-wheeler trolleys are a nightmare if you have too much on them.
So we've got a question saying, what time should you get there if you have early entry? So if that's for the Wednesday, the 25th. On the website, it says to get the camps open at 6 p.m, which is a lie, and people that have been to Reading before will know that's a lie.
Yeah.
That's just trying to get people to go later. People queue up from like early in the morning, from like 8-9 in the morning. The campsite usually opens. They usually open it around about 12 or 1. It opens usually when there's a lot of people in the queue, and then they open the gates and let people in. So it's usually around about 12, 1, 2-ish that the gates open.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just going to mention as well about going, because you could either be smart and bring in what you need, sit in the queue with not too much stuff, go pitch up your tent and then go back and get your stuff. But I don't know if it's going to be different this year because of the QR scanning.
Yeah, I think that was one from years gone by. A tactic would be to go in with minimal stuff, so whether it's just your tent and a couple other bits. Go in, set your tent up, get your space, and then go back to the car and pick up all your other stuff. With the NHS, I guess if you're getting in through Lateral Flows, you won't need to do another one because it is the same day.
Yeah.
And once entry, they'll have a separate queue for people coming, like, re-entering.
Yeah,
so if you go early enough and you're re-entering, it shouldn't be that bad. So I would recommend going in, leaving as much stuff into the car as possible, and just doing 1 or 2 trips.
Or go at 9. Or if you're not that bothered, go at like 9. Most people would be in by then. Most people would have been in and out, and then just chill out, have a wander around, and then go get your beers and stuff in the evening. Just have a little bit of like an evening warm up to get yourself into it.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Another good shout as well is whether there'll be, not a good shout really, but a shout. It could be a case of whether you get a different wristband depending on how you get in. There could be a vaccination or a lateral flow wristband, so then people with vaccination could just flash that wristband and then they can get in without having to rescan.
I think that's too smart for Festival Republic to do. That's a good idea.
It's another thing for them to have to worry about, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've got a question that probably should be directed at Festival Republic, but we're going to tackle it. And it's saying, why can't Queens of the Stone Age play, but people like Posty and Machine Gun Kelly and those sorts of American acts play? The short answer, I think, is just that the tour groups and the logistics around having a big legendary American band is just a lot more of a headache and a nightmare than just having a solo artist. A solo artist, if they are going to be isolating or whatever, doing a few days in a hotel, is a lot easier to sort out and get all the logistics. Say for Post Malone, who might have a team with him, than having Queens of the Stone Age, who you've got 5 or 6 members of the band, and then you've also got a massive touring group that will come with that. You've got all your sound engineers and all of that comes with a massive band like Queens. So I think, plain and simple, it's just a lot more of a headache for Festival Republic for Queens.
Whereas you have an act like, let's say, like Post Malone, and he could really, if they really, really needed to, he could have a team over in the UK that he doesn't know that well, can still put on an amazing set because it's him and because of, he could have that sort of practice, because there's probably going to be, the amount of people that are in that band for Queens of the Stone Age, I mean, there's only probably a few more extra people. That's going to be the whole of Post Malone's team to put on to put on a set. So yeah, I think that's just more the logistics of them being a complete band. And again, as I say, they were the legendary act, so I mean, it's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, a headliner like Post Malone he'll have a touring manager, probably his manager, and then can use the sound engineers in that Reading provides. So his team, Post Malone's team, in theory, could be smaller than Queen's as a group, let alone their team alongside of them. Everyone else, I think it's probably that. It's just a guess from our behalf, but it is an educated one.
So our next question is been quite a popular one, to be honest with you. Talking about doing a future video on this in a lot more in depth, but it's tips for first timers. We've thought of a couple that we can mention now. One is one we've already said, and it's about being minimalist when you first go in. The first thing that everyone does as a rookie era in a festival is trying to bring everything in one go. You've got a trolley, you've got 4 backpacks on, it's ridiculous, and you're gonna be like, you end up dropping your stuff, you end up going really slow. It's ridiculous. Everyone's done it, but you then start going over all like the different, like when you're going over like the bridge or something, or you go over like all the different terrain and your thing starts getting caught. It's horrendous. So I'd go in different trips. And the second one we said just now, which is actually a really good point, is knowing the lineup before you go, because there's nothing worse, and we've both done this, where in about 2 years' time you realise that there's a band you love or an artist you really like who are at the festival and you didn't go see, and you had the chance to go see them, but you love them now. So if you learn that you love the acts now, or you know that there's an act that you've heard a couple of songs for, but then you say you want to go catch those songs, make sure you do, because knowing the lineup is really, really important about making sure that you see every act you want to.
Yeah, there'll be on Apple Music and Spotify, if you go on, there'll be Reading and Leeds playlists for this summer. Go and just have a listen to some of the songs and get to know some of the songs from each of the artists and see kind of what you fancy and what you like, because there is nothing worse than next year looking back at the lineup that is this year and think, oh gosh, I wish I'd gone and seen such and such on like Sports Team, whatever, on the main stage, or gone and seen one of the acts on the introducing stage. There's nothing worse than that.
Definitely. Well, I mean, for me, like, even on that, I missed an act as big as like Cortina's when I went, because I just wasn't, I was quite tunnel vision then. I didn't have all this different taste in music, and looking back at that, I mean, I saw Sam Fender was on that lineup, and that's like one of the acts I really want to see. So yeah, you can miss some big acts. Okay, so our next question is quite a long one. I'm going to read it all. So it says, what should I do about food, as the food there is very expensive and bringing it is very bulky? I was thinking to go out every day to the Tesco, however, you need an NHS proof every time you leave the venue, even if it's for 5 minutes. Do you want to go ahead with that?
Yeah. I would say you've got the co-op on site, which you're going to have to utilise. And you are going to have to bring in food, and it's going to be the cheapest option to bring in food on the outside, like on your first trip. So whether it is the night before or a few nights before, you get yourself down to supermarket and buy your crisps, a box of cereal, the tinned fruit, that sort of thing, that can get you going through the day. And if you can't afford the food vans, because it does add up, it is quite expensive.
Yeah, it is.
I would say go to the co-op and get some food there. You get meal deals at the co-op and just get some bits to eat. It is doable without the food vans, but they do help. And if you can even afford yourself one a day or one every other day, I would definitely utilise the food vans, because you'll find one in your group will find one or two food vans that do really good food. So for there's Chinese ones that are really nice and that sort of thing. So you'll find something you'll like. But yeah, it is worth using them, but also bringing in food. A healthy mix is what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And you got to remember, these food vans, you don't have to go get I got one of the, I think it was like a roast dinner and a massive Yorkshire, and obviously that's going to be like 12, 13 quid. You don't have to spend ridiculous money and get the massive meal. Get a portion of chips, get something like that, just some warm food that's going to keep you going, and you don't have to really, really splash. They're expensive, of course you're at a festival, but there'd be pizzas there that you can get probably for like 6, 7 quid if it's like a margarita, so there's going to be decent, like affordable options.
Yeah, and if that's not something you want to do, then take a box of free Lateral Flows and then just leave the site and just have to come back in and get yourself down to a Tesco or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be alright.
So the next question that we've got is, what are your predictions for the stage layout? So I'm guessing he means the site layout, which is not something that we're going to know from right now because we are 3 weeks out from the festival. Me and Adam are both speaking on behalf of Reading because we're down south. We don't know really anything about Leeds. I've never been. Adam's never been. So we are speaking on behalf of Reading, and I was at the Reading sites 2 days ago. And it is starting to build up. It's starting to pick up now. 3 weeks out from the festival, I had a quick peek, and it is on the TheRandLMill socials. So if you wanted to go and check it out, if you haven't already, the main stage where it usually is starting to build up. And there's fences going around now. In red, where red is and where green is, I was walking around, and there's fences ready to go up. So it is it's like the foundations are being laid by Festival Republic at the Reading site. We're not going to know where the next main stage is really for another week or two. We're going to have to wait for them to kind of get built up a little bit more to see where all these other stages are going.
And they'll release the map as well.
Exactly. We've got on the TheRandLMill, we've got a mock map of what we think is going to happen, but again, that is just a prediction. So I think we're going to try and get down there again before the festival starts, just to see if we can get any more exclusives for the page. But yeah, it is just going to be a case of waiting for their map and to see what really is going to happen. I'm excited to see how they're going to do it with the two main stages. I don't know about you, Adam.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and it's been a question that everyone's been wondering the whole time. It's only now we're only starting to get a slight idea of where it's going to be, just due to the building and photos that are coming out and stuff. But you won't get, as Reuben said, you won't get an idea of it really until they get a little bit further along and you can tell what's what. Like, we'll get to a point where you can tell that stage is going to be the main stage. You can tell that's just the stage they're building for inside a tent. And then you'll be able to understand where it is once we kind of get that. And of course, when Reading and Leeds release their map, it might be a case of it comes out with the app, and the app comes out at the end of this week or next week. We don't know yet, so we'll have to wait and see for that. And as I say, we are Reading boys. We both go to Reading Festival, so we can't give a definite answer for Leeds. I've seen the Leeds site layout of previous years, and it's kind of like a long skinny stick, and the early predictions I think people were saying is that one stage at the very top, one stage at the very bottom.
Yeah, it's for Reading. I can't see the side with the fairground rides and the one extra stage and the introducing stage. I can see that kind of staying the same.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the side with the main stage, and then you've got the Festival Republic, which is obviously going to change throughout the weekend, and the other main stage, where that's going to go. I think Reading is going to be a lot more up in the air until we really find out what's going to happen.
The only thing we kind of have to go off of is that someone did comment on my map prediction, saying that it was almost correct, and he was the same person who sent some photos through, so whether he has a little bit of inside knowledge, we'll have to wait and see. So we've got a little bit of a different vibe question. We're going to be talking about our personal opinions now. So it's, which artist do you think has gone under the radar a little bit? And the first names that came to both our heads really were artists that were kind of announced for 2020, and then in the second announcement for Reading. And we're talking about your sub-headliner like Two Door Cinema Club, like the Wombats, like Sam Fender. They're the acts for me that people have known about for 2 years, so it's kind of like, okay, big deal. Like... So yeah, I definitely think it's those. It's definitely going to be, and what we were saying about Two Door Cinema Club, they're probably going to have one of the best performances of the weekend. We've all seen their What You Know set from, like, what was that, Reading Festival 2011. We're going to get that again. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be perfect time for them. They're just before their headliners. So yeah, I definitely think those have gone under the radar.
Yeah, I think Two Door are going to be one that they're going to absolutely pack out that main stage east. Just before Post Malone as well. It's going to... I mean, Two Door, we all know what they can do, as you say. I think pretty much everyone at the festival is going to be there seeing them, because I know that Two Door don't just cater to like the people that like the indie rock, that sort of music. Even because, you know, they've got songs on FIFA, so even people that may be more inclined to go to the one extra stages and that sort of thing will come down and see Two Door Cinema Club, and they're going to put on a really good show. And I can't wait for Two Door personally.
Yeah, no, I agree. A couple of other names as well. We've got like Joe Cinnamon. He's gone under the radar a little bit, and his show will be very good. I think a lot of people were surprised actually with Joe Cinnamon how high up he was, and I think that could be one of the reasons why he's gone a bit under the radar. And
but I guess you've also got some of the the smaller stages. You know, you've got your acts like Alfie Templeman, Kenny Hoopla, those sort of acts that that going under the radar. I think a little bit. Holly Humberston, Blocks, Baby Queen, Girl in Red. You know, on some of the smaller stages that people aren't, obviously because they're not as big, even in terms of the letters on the lineup. You know, people might not think that they're jump straight out at them, but they're going to be some of the best acts.
They will
weekend.
Be. Even like as you say, like Blocks, they were announced in the very first announcement, or the one just after the headliners. So, and they're still there, and they're going to put on a great performance. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to some of these acts that have gone under the radar.
So we've got another one. Aside from your essentials, 10, etc., what is one other must-have for the festival survival? I would personally, especially if it's hot, I would say a hat, sunglasses, like a bucket hat, sunnies. You want to be able to, I guess, sun cream, that sort of thing, especially if it's hot, because I know 2019, last time I went, on the Sunday, it was about 30-something degrees. It was absolutely, I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah. Well, applies more for Reading, because Leeds it probably rain.
Yeah, you'll need a poncho, really.
Yeah. And I'd definitely say, this applies for both, so you'll be happy to know that. I would definitely say a portable charger, because I can't take, and you want a decent one as well, not one that's going to fill up your phone once and die, because you don't want to pay them any money to charge your phone, really. You want to keep costs down as much as possible, and if you just buy decent portable charger, you can get like a decent Anchor one for 20-25 quid, and then that's going to do you for festivals to come. I took one when I last went, and it lasted me pretty much the whole weekend. I think it died on like the Sunday, but I wasn't bothering because it was the last day. So yeah, you want something decent that's going to do 7 or 8 charges, and you'll be golden.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best advice that I've heard us give. I think the portable charger is a must-have. So one, just to add onto the festival essentials that I've just remembered, it would be a bandana, I would say, especially if it's warm and it's not raining. Especially, when you get to the Saturday, the Sunday, it's going to start getting dusty, and when you're in mosh pits, or even when you're just there jumping around the main stage or the tents, it's going to start kicking up some dust, and when you're breathing that in, it's not very nice. So I remember buying one. I think I must have spent about a tenner on a bandana at one of the stalls, and I got absolutely ripped off, but I needed it for the Sunday, because for for your Foo Fighters, Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, you'll even see it if you watch the Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes gig from 2019 on YouTube. You'll see when people are jumping about, it just kicking up so much dust. Get yourself a bandana for that, and that's you're sorted.
Yeah, definitely. You basically just want to avoid buying things. I remember my mate went through about 3 pairs of sunglasses in 1 year, and he had to just keep buying them, and they do just rip you off, these places. So yeah, just try and remember stuff like that, even if they're little and you think, oh, will I take that? If it's not big, just take it. We got our next question, which is best shoes to bring, and to be honest with you, mainly I could say is look out for the weather forecast, because if it is going to start pissing it down, especially at Leeds, then you're going to want sort of welly boots or something like that. That's just going to keep your feet warm, because you don't want to come away with trench foot. But if it's not going to rain, then trainers, hands down.
Yeah, I brought some. I usually bring some old beat up Air Forces, something like that, some old beat up trainers that you don't really care that are going to get stood on in mosh pits, and just around the festival they're going to get all dusty. I think that is, some old trainers that you don't mind getting dirty are good. You want to look out for the weather forecast, and maybe even take a spare pair of trainers, or maybe some like walking boots or something like that you can use if it does start to rain. Because there's nothing worse than having one pair of trainers or one pair of shoes when it's raining and you've got to walk around with wet shoes on.
And you don't want to. And what you don't want to do as well is then start looking around at some of the shops sort of thing, and looking for wellies that they're selling, because they're all going to be sold out the second it starts raining. So yeah, I think that's going to be your best bet. So one of our last questions is, what if someone uses another person's lateral flow test because they test positive, or basically putting that you're negative even though you're positive? And I think that's just the risk they're going to be taking by putting on this festival. They're going to know a handful of people probably will do this. Some scummy people are going to do this. So you just got to hope your majority of people who do test positive have some morals and have some brain cells to actually be honest and not come to the festival. It would be awful. It would be awful for anyone to have to miss it. So let's just hope that people do, just to basically keep this sort of industry open.
Yeah, I think people have just got to have common sense and just not do this, because you're then going to possibly ruin the chance of festivals happening in the future if big spikes happen from festivals like Reading and Leeds. So if you're thinking about doing it, just don't. If you do test positive, as bad as that is, get yourself a refund and just don't come to the festival.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get your money back. At least you can look back at it and say you got some money back. So they're not going to be. I'm sure you're not going to be blamed if you test positive, and then they say you're not going to get your money back, because you can't really help catching it, can you? So yeah, that's what I would say. So a couple of personal questions. We've got, why did you set up this page? And to be honest with you, I was into the festival, and I basically just wanted to make sort of it kind of came to a point where I wanted to make a small community where everyone could chat about festivals, because there wasn't really anything like this and that. Reuben messaged very, very early on, wanted to get involved, And by the time we got this festival going, now look at us, we're doing quite a lot of it together. He's appearing on more and more aspects of the page, and we're sort of running this together and getting really into it, and basically just hoping to make a community over the next couple of years for Reading festival goers, because it's going to be going on for long enough. So yeah, let's just hope we can make a nice community similar to what the TPD TV guys are doing, and basically making it a place for everyone to enjoy the festival together.
Yeah, I think I messaged Adam at the start of April. So I think he was just under 100 followers. Messaged him about helping out, because this is the sort of thing I know we both kind of want to go into this sort of field as a career in the future, and just being able to build a community online of people like-minded like us that just love festivals, especially Reading and Leeds. I think there was something that really, really special about that, and obviously now, hitting 1,000 followers on Twitter, and 700, we're on 35 now on Instagram. It's, we're building a community, and this is the first year we've been doing it, not even a year. It's obviously the first few months going into the first festival of us being around. So hopefully next year, we'll be even bigger.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to quiet down. I'm expecting once that hype of Reading's gone in September, probably September to Christmas, it's going to quiet down. We're going to start looking at Reading Leeds 2022, predicting some headliners, predicting the first wave. God knows when it's going to come, because this year was a bit of an oddity where they did it over the festival weekend when it would have been on last year. We're not going to get that again. We might not get the first announcement until March next year, so it's going to go a bit quiet, but the anticipation is going to start growing. We're going to make sure this is the community where it starts to grow, the anticipation towards it. So yeah, we're not going to go anywhere as soon as Reading and Leeds 2021's over.
So the last question that we have got for this episode of the podcast is, who are you most looking forward to watching perform this year? So for me personally, we're going to take that as one headliner, one sub-headliner, and then just one act across the weekend. So I'm going to go first. Personally, seeing Catfish headline is going to be the best headliner for me, personally. I think, you've got acts like Biffy Clyro and Liam. I mean, all of the headliners are going to be class, but just for me personally, seeing Catfish and the Bottom Head headline, I know how special that show is going to be for them. Is going to be really good. I think Two Door then as a sub-headliner, I don't think you can't go far wrong with Two Door Cinema Club. Everyone knows that they're going to be incredible, and I'm really looking forward to seeing to them. And my favourite act, the one that I'm most looking forward to this whole weekend, I think that one, if I'm telling anyone to do anything over the weekend, it is to see Sports Team on the main stage on the Friday. It's Main Stage West. Get yourself down there, because they are one of the best performing bands. Their music is made for live. So if you're watching anyone this whole weekend, get yourself down to the Sports Team and see Alex Rice and the guys perform, because they're unreal. And Al, the drummer, she's an unreal female drummer. Yeah,
I think Sports Team definitely one of those acts that you've drilled into me to go listen to and watch. So I absolutely will be. And for me, my most anticipated headliner is got to be Stormzy. Ever since that Glasgow set, I've wanted to see him ever since he released, basically when he released Gang Signs and Prayer. It was just, it's a very, that changed, I think, music, some of his albums, and I think that Glastonbury performance is one of the most iconic, and to see him do it again on the Reading stage, he's going to put in 110%. And he's going to be buzzing to return. I mean, he's got a world tour to do, so he's going to be an incredible performance, and I've wanted to see him for a couple of years now, so I'm really looking forward to that. Sub-headliner, I've been a big fan of Sam Fender for a while, and I think Sam Fender again on the Friday. I mean, I'm in for a treat on the Friday, aren't I?
Yeah.
Sam Fender is definitely one of those acts that I think is going to be brilliant. He's going to slowly become he's going to be a headliner at almost every festival, I'm sure of it, one day. So yeah, it would be great to see him. And sort of going off of, there's a lot of acts that, I mean, I don't really have one big one like Sports Team for Reuben. There's a lot of acts that I'm looking forward to seeing that aren't on the headliner or sub-headliner slot. I mean, you're talking about Easy Life, you've got Tom Grennan, you've got all acts like this that are going to be really, really great to see. And I really can't wait. Now we're only 3 weeks away.
Yeah, there's, you could pull out the whole lineup.
Yeah.
You've got even Inhaler on that Friday. Friday's going to be incredible. Inhaler just added to the to the lineup in this last announcement. Their latest record,
on the Friday as well.
Exactly. Latest record for Inhaler. If you've not seen it, go and see it. It's incredible. Go and hear it, listen to it on Spotify, download it, everything. I mean, we could go on for hours, and we've done a whole podcast episode talking about the lineup. So, give us some on social media. Hit us up and tell us who you're really excited to see, because that's what this is all about. It's all about interaction. So we want to hear who you're most excited about seeing.
Yeah, definitely is. And my AirPods are about to die, so I think that's a very good time to wrap up. Hopefully we'll do a couple more before the festival, just really getting that anticipation growing, and I'm so glad you guys have been here to listen to it. I'm hoping this episode you'll realise how good and immersive this podcast is, because I think a lot of people are going to be clicking on this one to answer their questions. So I hope you guys did enjoy. We will be back again hopefully next week with another episode, and just really getting that anticipation going for everyone else and everyone involved.
Yeah, sweet. Cheers, guys, for listening. I hope we've answered your questions. Again, if you've got any more, send them our way, and we will do our best to reply to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, guys, take care. Make sure you're following all the socials, and look forward to Reading and Leeds as always. See you later, guys.
In a bit.